This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh, yeah. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. Coming at you live, as always, right after every single Angels game right here on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area, was covering UCLA football, men's and women's basketball, writing articles, conducting interviews, all that good stuff for the Daily Bruin. And now, year two with the Locked On Podcast Network. Our Angels pick up a statement win. Dare I say? Am I over-exaggerating? I don't know. It's hard not to be fired up right now. The Angels go into St. Louis against the 3-0 Cardinals, and they hand them a loss, their first of the season, 5-4 in extra innings. And for many reasons, despite the Angels only having 4 hits in this ball game, a lot of reasons to be happy in this one. Before we jump into talking all about everything, I know y'all want to talk about Kyren Paris, and boy, we're going to talk about that. A lot of other guys in the lineup that deserve some credit, even if they didn't have multiple hit games and everything. The Angels offense did enough, but the Angels bullpen and some underrated arms getting it done. A lot of exciting things to talk about in this one. Before we do, quick shout out to everybody in here. The comment section going crazy. Again, it's probably the last time I'll say this. Now I hope you guys are all understanding. Nothing changing with the Daily Show. The Frisch Bros, the Super Halo Bros, they will be coming at you tomorrow morning and every morning after that, Monday through Friday, as always. This is just an addition to the channel, these postcasts, this post-game show. But first and foremost, again, shout out to everybody in here. I love seeing all the comments. This is hilarious. Jethro says, anyone going to the World Series? Oh, the vibes are great. The vibes are great. A lot of Kyren love. I love to see it. Michael in here, Kyren Goat Paris for president. I love it. Vibes are great. How nice. You're 3-1. You feel like you're 101 based on what happened last year. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Also, quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is FanDuel. And with all that being said, let's jump right into this one. I mean, the turning point, the player of the game, we do all that stuff. We're going to go with the turning point because we have to do it.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I mean, again, there's so many different, just like the previous games, there's so many different ways you can go with this one. But obviously, you have to talk about the top of the 10th inning. And it's fitting because it really summarized what the Angels' offense was all game, right? Just 4 hits. 4 hits for the Angels, coming off a series where you somehow go 2-1 despite having only 3 earned runs in the entire series. And somehow you score 5 runs tonight without only having 4 hits. Well, how? The top of the 10th inning is a great example. Obviously, it helps that you start with the runner on second base, but still, Kyren Paris, boy, is this guy just developing in front of our eyes. Everything about him. Not only does he have the clutch swings when you need him to, but how about this at bat from Kyren Paris to open up the top of the 10th inning? Are you going to bunt? Are you going to let him swing? Obviously, he's got speed. Wouldn't be opposed to him trying to drop one down the third base line, see if he can beat him out, or drop one down the first base line. At the very least, advance Rengifo from second to third. But no, let Kyren Paris swing. He gets ahead 2-0. Then he swings at 2 hittable pitches, and then he spits at 2. The 5th pitch wasn't a difficult take, but how about that take there? A slider down on the 3-2 pitch there, and he's able to take it, force a walk, and you've got first and second. Now, here's where things get dicey once again. Kevin Newman seems to always come up in important moments, and he's not the guy you want to come up 0-3 heading into this one. And we know what happened last game. Wanted him to bunt. He didn't do it after he failed on the first pitch. He swung away, ends up having an unproductive at-bat. Here, drops the bunt, hits it foul, but goes for the bunt again on 0-1. He learned from last time, and it wasn't a great bunt. He popped it up. Arenado kind of faked it as if he was going to catch it. But how about Rengifo at second, not falling for it, getting a great jump to third. Obviously, Kyren Paris, great speed, getting to second, and all Arenado could do was throw out Kevin Newman at first base. So once again, you start with the runner on second, but still, you have to do quite a bit to end up with second and third with just one out. You get another walk and a sack bunt. So productive at-bats, even though you're not getting hits. And what do you say? That continues. Jojo Romero against Taylor Ward, and he has a heck of an at-bat. Just kidding. Intentional walk there for Taylor Ward to load the bases, right? So now you've gotten 3 guys to have productive at-bats, even though Taylor Ward didn't have to do anything, and you get bases loaded for Nolan Schanuel. Obviously, it's lefty-lefty. It's scary. Obviously, everyone in the entire stadium is thinking double play, not just because of the situation, but Angels fans, this debate with Schanuel hitting second, oh, we don't love it because of the double play capability. Well, he comes up with the bases loaded. You're afraid of him grounding into a double play, and he almost did. He grounds one right to the second baseman, Brendan Donovan, but fortunately, again, Luis Rengifo gets a great jump, and it wasn't a hard hit ball, a chopper. Donovan did make a horrible play in terms of the transfer and the throw, but it was just too late. He was never going to get him. It's one of those things. It's a tough play for an infielder, because in your mind, you're thinking 2 things if you get a ground ball. Either throw it home or get a double play. And the way that this ball was hit, he couldn't really do either. So he elects to go home. Rengifo beats it out. And there you go. Despite 4 at-bats where there's not a single hit, you turn a leadoff runner on second base into a run being scored and still second and third with 1 out. And then it continues. Mike Trout, the very next at-bat, hits a deep fly ball to center field, able to score Kyren Paris. Nolan Schanuel, being foolish, gets thrown out at second. Really pissed me off because that's an important play, right? No need for Nolan Schanuel to try to get to second. You're not important in this. The important thing is that Taylor Ward gets to third. If you sit at first, now you still have Jorge Soler coming up with the runner on third and a chance to blow this game open. So that certainly frustrated me, but it was a very fitting end to the game for the Angels offense when the entire afternoon to evening, really nothing being done in terms of actual hits, just for the entire game. There were some timely ones, and we'll certainly get to that in a little bit, but very fitting, very happy to see an Angels team that last year, whenever there was a runner on third and one guy out or nobody out, you never knew if they were actually going to score them, let alone executing sacrifice bunts. We saw the suicide squeezes that were failed multiple times last year. We saw the sack bunts that were failed multiple times last year. And so to have a 10th inning where you get a great walk from Kyren Paris, a sack bunt from Kevin Newman, another walk, a fielder's choice, a sack fly, all in 1 inning, you score 2 runs without a hit. Very, very impressive and very, very encouraging. Not the only encouraging thing in this one, though, at all. And that takes us to the player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I mean, say I'm over-exaggerating, say I just fell in love with him too much, but based on what everyone's saying in the comment section, I think you're all going to agree. It's got to be Kyren Paris again. We just talked about that amazing at-bat he had in the 10th inning, but how can we not forget about the game-tying RBI triple, one of the most exciting plays of this young season so far. Luis Rengifo gets on via the walk with 2 outs. And once again, another creative way to get on base. You have 2 guys get out. Luis Rengifo with the 2-out walk. In years past, wouldn't mean much, right? But when you got a young, exciting player like Kyren Paris up next, how about him just absolutely ripping 101.4 exit velo down the left field line? And with that speed, it was going to be live in terms of it being a triple. Even though there's 2 outs and maybe you don't want him to force it, he did, and he got it done. I mean, a 1-1 slider that was kind of hung down and in. That down and in fastball was what he crushed for a home run yesterday. Today, it's the slider. So he's getting it done in different ways. First pitch fastball yesterday. How about a 1-1 slider today? And then a full count walk, right? Getting it done in different ways. Not to mention he's great in the field. Not to mention he's playing center right now, but you can put him at short in the future if you want. We're going to get into my opinion on shortstop later in this show, but Kyren Paris, he has to be the player of the game. He scores 2 runs for the Angels. He also has 2 walks in that RBI triple. So 3 of the 5 runs are because of him. He's hitting .375. He's got a 1.5 OPS right now. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to move him up in the lineup and say he's an everyday player, even when Joe Adele comes back into the starting lineup. So shout out to Kyren Paris. Obviously, just getting it done. Just getting it done. You love to see it. A guy that was given some chances last year and looked, as much as I hate to say it, he looked lost. He didn't look ready. But boy, he looks ready after a great spring training to carry it over to the first 4 games the way he has. So impressive. Absolutely love it. I'm seeing people in here talking about Taylor Ward, talking about Kevin Newman, talking about the rest of the lineup. Some people are even getting into Nolan Schanuel, even though he had a 2-hit night. We'll talk about the rest of the lineup, and we have to talk about that bullpen. That's the other reason why I think this win is so impressive. We'll do that after our only break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, once again, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on, and the FanDuel app is simple to use. The best part is when you do win, and hopefully it's a lot, when you do win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. The app also makes it easy to make your bets instantly. So whether you're doing it a moment before the game starts or a live bet during the game, FanDuel, its app is perfect to get the job done. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Again, FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Back here live on another victorious edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. That's right. The Angels are 3-1. Stop the presses. Angels are 3-1. Unbelievable. Michael in here saying, I feel 161 game winning streak. The vibes are amazing. The vibes are absolutely amazing. We talked a little bit about Kyren Paris, certainly. We talked about that 10th inning being really summarizing what was a creative offensive performance from the Angels tonight. Now, look, are we going to pop the champagne and say that this offense is hot and playing amazing? No, they still had 4 hits. They still have only had a couple actual RBIs on base hits so far this season. But hey, you found a way when you weren't getting it done in terms of actually getting hits to score 5 runs. Shout out to the entire Angels pitching staff. We'll talk about Tyler Anderson briefly. My biggest takeaway from this game, and there's certainly multiple to have, right? You're going to look at all the 4-seam fastballs coming in at 88, 89 miles an hour, catching way too much of the plate. The beautiful Locked On Angels, they had it. They tweeted it. I saw other people tweeting it as well. Yes, he's throwing fastballs right down the middle, not what you want to see at all when a guy doesn't throw very hard. But the moral of the story is, even with him throwing a lot of meatballs, even with him giving up 2 home runs and having 2 walks and giving up 6 hits, in 5 innings. 3 earned runs is not terrible, right? If he's able to go another inning or 2, it's certainly a quality start, and you're not very critical at him at all. And so my biggest takeaway isn't even, in looking at this start from Tyler Anderson, isn't necessarily the start itself. It's the bigger picture. It's the fact that this year, Tyler Anderson is our number 4 pitcher, right? Last year, this guy was our undisputed ace. The guy we were talking about making the All-Star game, the guy we were talking about maybe cashing in for at the deadline, this guy was our undisputed ace in 2024. And so for this season, for him to be the 4th pitcher in the rotation, if your 4th pitcher gives you 5 innings, 3 earned runs every game, that's not terrible, right? It's not great. Obviously, it's a 5.4 ERA. It's not what you want to see. If it could be 6 or 7 runs, 3 or 2 earned runs, that would be better. But he's your 4th pitcher, right? And so as long as Kikuchi, Soriano, and Kohanowitz do even remotely what they did to open this season, the rest of the year, you're okay with Tyler Anderson doing this, especially if your offense is able to respond with the game it had in terms of not even having a bunch of hits and still generating runs, but especially, and this is why I think this win is so impressive, because the bullpen, a bunch of, I don't want to say, some rookie relievers in the sense that Detmer's obviously making his first ever appearance out of the bullpen. Johnson obviously bounces back from that up and down debut to have a amazing save. And Burke, McDaniels, Zephyrin, all guys that are not seen as your premier guys in the bullpen, right? To have no Kenley Jansen and no Ben Joyce available in an extra inning game. And you're able to get an inning and 2/3 from Detmers. And it wasn't an easy inning and 2/3. I would almost rather see the inning and 2/3 that we saw from him where, sure, there was 2 walks. Sure, he gave up a hit. But he had 3 strikeouts. He was resilient. He's able to eat up almost 2 full innings. Zephyrin comes in and closes the door. McDaniels gives up 2 hits as well. Looking a little bit dicey, making his MLB debut. But he got out of it. Burke comes in. He gives up a walk. He gives up a hit. But he gets out of it. And then Johnson, obviously, he gives up a hit as well, and technically gives up a run. He's got a guy starting on second base in the 10th inning, but he gets the save. So to be able to have those 5 guys, none of them being Ben Joyce, none of them being Kenley Jansen, and to still not have any of them give up a run, until the extra innings guy on second base, Very impressive, very encouraging. And so to combine that with Kyren Paris breaking out, to combine that with some other guys in the lineup having decent performances that I haven't even brought up yet, it's a great, great, encouraging game against a real team, right? It's not against the Chicago White Sox. It's against a real team. A couple other guys we have to talk about. Taylor Ward. I'm critical of the decision to have him at leadoff sometimes because he doesn't give you the speed. He's not always the most consistent guy in terms of not striking out. He had another 2 strikeouts today. But the reason he is the leadoff hitter is because he's one of the most veteran hitters on this team in the way that he approaches at-bats. A lot of at-bats so far this season where it's eating up a lot of pitches, where he's able to force walks. He had another 2 walks today. He still had an RBI and he had a run. So he's getting it done in a bunch of different ways, which is what you want a leadoff hitter to do. Sure, he doesn't look like the stereotypical or prototypical leadoff hitter. He's not quick. He's not primarily a contact guy, right? But he's a veteran. He's able to have long at-bats. He's able to eat up pitches. He has 2 walks, gets an RBI and a run. I will certainly take that. And he's still hitting 286 so far this season. Nolan Schanuel, again, very critical of having him in the 2-hole and not Rengifo for similar reasons. Would like to have more speed, a little less fear of the double play. But again, he goes 2 for 5. Yes, he has 2 strikeouts, but 2 for 5. He gets the RBI on the chopper that was luckily soft enough, and he's hitting 294. He's getting the job done as well. A lot of people are going to start pointing to Mike Trout. They see the .077 batting average, and it gets a little concerning. But the moral of the story is the Angels are 3-1, despite Mike Trout even showing up so far this season. That's really encouraging as well. A little bit concerned about Logan O'Hoppe. Soler, not really. Moncada, not really. Expect those guys to kind of ease into being an Angel and everything. But O'Hoppe, showing us the O'Hoppe we saw at the end of last season. You know, it doesn't have to be 2 for 4 every night, but 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Hopefully that does not stand. Luis Rengifo has a walk, scores 2 runs despite not getting a hit. Another reason why I'd love to see him being one of the 2 hitters or being a 2-hitter. Michael in here, if you don't know, Michael is my coworker. That's my boy. And he says, are we winning the World Series? Gavin, please tell me we will. I love it. He's hilarious. For now, let's just cool it. Let's just be excited. We're first in the AL West, baby. Not the Rangers, not the Astros. It's us. How about that? But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about real quick, because I saved all of the positivity and saved this little bit of negativity for the end. Not only is Newman blow, he stinks, unfortunately. Sorry, that's a little disrespectful. I'm not trying to be Stephen A out here and start insulting athletes that are way better than I could ever be. Kevin Newman is not a great hitter for MLB standards. That's a much nicer way of saying it. My question is, the one that didn't make sense to me, and it happened multiple times. It happened in the 10th inning, and obviously Newman was able to get the bunt down, so I guess it ends up being okay. But after Kyren Paris's triple, you got a runner on third with 2 outs, and then you have first and second with nobody out in the 10th. You're telling me neither of those times, especially against a lefty in Romero in the 10th, you're telling me you can't put Joe Adell in there? Joe Adell, who, yes, is he going to give you a strikeout? Sure. And maybe in that first and second with nobody out scenario, you're just caring about the bunt. But when there's a runner on third base and 2 outs, do I want Newman out there or do I want Joe Adell? I want Joe Adell. Give me Joe Adell. Give me another substitution, all right? I don't want to see Kevin Newman hitting with runners in scoring position. I just don't want to do it. And the reason you're able to make that pinch hit, whether it's the 7th inning or the 9th or the 10th or whatever, you've got Anderson on the bench, who he's not going to give you anything hitting, but Anderson is going to give you decent shortstop play, right? And if you don't elect to go with Anderson, you can move Kyren Paris to shortstop if you want. Kyren Paris played it last year. Did he play it amazingly? No, but he played it well enough, right? You guys are making me laugh here. Newman is our nemesis. We hate Newman. Y'all are funny. But moral of the story is I would have loved to see you pinch hit. And yeah, see, people are saying, what if Adell is still hurt? I get it. Obviously he had the tweaker there, but thought he was available. Thought you could have used him. Thought you could have pinch hit a bunch of different guys instead of Newman, right? So to be able to have a mailman. Oh, y'all are making me laugh. You're making me laugh. But would like to see the pinch hit there. Like I said, Adell was running bases today. Would like to see him have an opportunity, knowing that you can have Kyren Paris or Tim Anderson or Lopez get subbed in at shortstop after you make that change. But other than that, really can't be critical of anything. Ron Washington gave Reed Detmers a pretty long leash there, and he was able to come through. He gave some other young guys big pitching opportunities. He said before this game, if you don't see Ben Joyce or Kenley Jansen, it means that neither of them were available, especially if the game was close. Well, the game couldn't have been any closer, extra innings. You didn't see either of them, which means they weren't available. And so how many times would you have seen this game be blown by a Luis Garcia, or hate to say it, even a Estevez, or certainly a Jose Suarez, right? But so for the bullpen to be able to do what it did with the key guys not being available, very, very impressive. Couple questions here. When do we see Ian Anderson? What do you think about Moncada? For now, I'm just waiting to see Zach Neto come back. I know I just ducked both of your questions there, but for me, I'm not going to judge this team fully, and it's so nice that we're 3-1, but I need to see Zach Neto back in this lineup, because imagine when you make a direct swap of Newman to Neto and you're able to move I think at this point, I hate to say it, Logan O'Hoppy's got to be like your 8-hitter. I would love to see Rengifo hit second and Shanuel hit fifth. But if they're going to keep Shanuel at second, then love to see like Rengifo hit fifth, and then Neto hit sixth, and then Kyren Paris hit seventh. It really becomes a deep lineup at that point. Jay the Gamer here saying we're missing Mickey. Trust me, I still think I would much rather have Mickey Moniak on this lineup or on this roster than some of these useless righties that aren't going to do anything when there's a clear need for a pinch hit lefty bat. But we're going to leave it at that on terms of that. But once again, I'm well over time. The show's supposed to be 15 to 18 minutes. I'm over almost at 22. I'm a long speaker. I'm a yapper. I'm all of the above. But how can you not be? Because the Angels are 3-1. They're first in the AL West. They hand the St. Louis Cardinals their first loss, and Kyren Paris is looking like the real deal. The bullpen is looking deep. And hey, just wait for this Angels offense to actually have 9 hits and 8 runs. It's no question they'll win that game, right? They haven't even done it yet, and they're 3-1. So Antonio says go for 30 minutes for Kyren. I love it. Hilarious. 3-1, amazing. Shout out to everybody in here. As always, make sure you do a favor before you leave. Hit the like button. Give me a comment. I love it. Baldwin says keep yapping. My boy Michael says go Halos. 3-1, happy for the start. There's Antonius saying give me 30 minutes for Kyren. I love it. Angels winning the World Series. Oh, any timeline on Neto? He'll be back soon. That's the report. And I know with the Angels, soon can mean anything. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Appreciate the W Gavins in the chat. But if you really want to say W Gavin, leave a like, leave a comment after the video ends. Those are the things that I'm able to see in the long run, and the things that help this show grow in the long run. So leave a like when the stream ends, leave a comment when the stream ends, and you already know I'll be back here tomorrow night, hopefully after another Angels win. But with all that being said, Angels 5, Cardinals 4, the Angels are 3-1, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks so much. Take care. And go Halos, baby.